Hello, my name is David Sardina with Oxford Plastics. I'm here today at SONCO Products in Maryland to talk about the family of anchor bases made up of anchor block, anchor weight, and anchor stand. And the presentation that you make on a job site, whether it's for an event, for a contractor, in a schoolyard, all that matters to your customer. Anchor block is an alternative to concrete blocks that for a long time have been the standard used in holding up temporary fence panels. Well, there's lots of advantages to the anchor block over the traditional concrete block. What distinguishes the anchor block from typical concrete blocks is a number of things. It's manufactured out of recycled plastic. You'd have a fence line that has almost no trip hazard to it, yet it still provides the same amount of stability. It's designed with handles, weighs 40 pounds, very easy to be picked up. The traditional installation is where you would put the fence post through the center holes. So it has the capacity to hold under some pretty significant winds. When the panels were designed with a stem below the bottom rail, a 5-inch stem. The purpose of that 5-inch stem below the bottom rail is so that the panel can be loaded into these holes. I'm going to use this as an example. This would be the bottom rump, the bottom stem of the post of a temporary fence panel. You'd have a series of panels running this way and a panel running that way. You clamp it together a third of the way down from the bottom, and that begins your temporary fence line. Another big part of being productive, carrying two at a time. Again, all these things go to production, which means more linear feet installed on a daily basis. It's got these brightly colored end caps so that whether it's day or night, these things are visible or more visible than a concrete block. It just looks more professional, and it gives your installer the option to set it up in a way that reduces the trip hazard. One additional feature with the anchor block is that you have the option to brand it. This plate here is designed to receive a sticker, or it can be embossed at the factory. We highly recommend the sticker option because it produces a contrast so that it's much more visible, whereas embossed it would just be in the orange. Anchor family of bases provides is the most aesthetically pleasing solutions to holding up temporary fence panels, keeping them up in high wind situations, and turning a construction site or an event into a safe site.